to conspire together in one breath. Bitcoin, no longer an ideal, but a tool of service. Let's talk about the different timelines we're all experiencing. Have you noticed how, when you're out touching grass and aligned with your spirit, things flow? But the moment you step back into the social construct, you either find resonance or full face blown dissonance. I wrote about harmonics a few weeks ago. This article will establish a foundation for threads I'll weave over the next few months. The complexity of the transits demands breaking things down and pointing to earlier pieces for reference, expect links, quotes, and context to keep it cohesive. When Pluto entered Aquarius, we knew things were about to speed up, an acceleration of events and collective impact. Barely a week after President Trump's inauguration, events started piling up so fast I couldn't keep track. While I craved space for creative exploration, art projects, and just being in flow, I had to consciously decelerate to maintain my rhythm. The accelerated growth of AI is like a river breaking its banks, rushing unpredictably into every facet of life and industry, reshaping landscapes faster than we can adjust. The latest developments surrounding DeepSeek, footnote, a Chinese artificial intelligence startup, has recently launched an AI assistant that rivals existing models in performance while utilizing fewer resources. This development has led to a significant impact on the US stock market, particularly among technology companies. On Monday, major US tech stocks experienced a substantial decline, with Nvidia's market value decreasing by approximately 600 billion. My goodness. The emergence of DeepSeek's efficient AI model has prompted investors to reassess the competitive landscape, leading to increased market volatility. However, some analysts believe that this competition could ultimately drive innovation and broader adoption of AI technologies, which I completely agree. The best thing in life is competition. So I'm going back to the paragraph. It says, the latest developments around the DeepSeek and its influence on the market highlight an unprecedented rhythm, one where keeping up feels as futile as catching smoke. This surge of change, layered with AI's rapid evolution, pushes humanity into uncharted territories where the boundaries of ethics, technology, and human responsibility are increasingly blurred. One of the things I value most is the opportunity to learn directly from someone. There's an unmatched depth in the transmission you receive when engaging with an expert in their field, whether by attending their courses or asking direct questions. That kind of knowledge sharing is truly priceless. I grew up with a profound respect for education, shaped by the motivation of my mother and grandmother, both pedagogues, who instilled in me the belief that anything I learned could and should be shared with others. This ethos has guided my approach to learning throughout my life. In recent years, I've immersed myself in fields where the pace of change is both thrilling and demanding. For the past 2.5 years, I've been studying financial charts readings, and since last October, I venture into the world of AI language models, LLMs, and the tools necessary to navigate the wild ride of the times. The people who teach me these practices are often half my age or even younger, and I am in awe of the depth, focus, and innovation they bring to the table. Their expertise inspires me, and I wholeheartedly embrace the opportunity to learn from them while blending their insights with my own ongoing inquiry. The volatility in markets is a mirror of how rapidly the landscape shifts, with fluctuations giving way to fresh waves of activity. My foray into AI assisted learning has been nothing short of revelatory. These tools have allowed me to create customized tutors that sharpen my ability to analyze financial charts, not as a trader yet, but as a way to uncover the psychology behind economic movements. This exploration aligns with my intention to transition fully to living on the Bitcoin standard by the end of 2025. It is fascinating to observe how subjective valuations and human actions weave the intricate fabric of the markets. This journey has taught me far more than technical skills. It's shown me the profound interconnectedness between human behavior, economics, and evolving systems we inhabit. Bitcoin's chart is illuminated under the new moon at 9 degrees of Aquarius, signaling heightened potential and critical junctures. I'll analyze the progress chart to pinpoint challenges and opportunities. Both AI and Bitcoin are tools that require human authenticity to thrive. Without deliberate and aligned human action, these innovations could amplify systemic issues rather than resolve them. They're not autonomous forces, but reflections of the values and intentions we project onto them. The new moon's energy will be amplified by Uranus turning direct the day after, catapulting us into a new phase of acceleration. Venus is entering its shadow phase before retrograding soon, making significant aspects to Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node in the next week. Venus governs our needs and it is closely tied to our relationship with what we value, including resources and any asset used as a store of value and medium of exchange. These transits herald profound shifts in how we perceive value, emotional, material, and collective. The interesting thing about all these trade wars as leverage being imposed on others is that it all relates to the nature of where the universe is heading. Saturn, which defines boundaries, is meeting very close to Neptune in Pisces, with Venus also in the mix. Venus, as the planet of self worth, money, and assets, is currently in a space of delusion. In this illusion, it will take time for everything to be reevaluated. We're about to witness a lot of wild stories in the market. This thing is doing this, that thing is doing that, and one event is being attributed to another. Right now, everyone is acting with a heavy hand because what it is being shaped in this moment is the future of a new beginning. Those who don't understand what's happening with their vision clouded by foggy glasses won't see clearly. Even those who believe they have clarity will need to triple check everything. Ultimately, it will be your instincts that guide you, not the news, not ChatGPT, not me, and not anyone else, but your own connection to your inner knowing. The lines have been blurred. There is no clear definition of value. There is no consensus of what society needs right now. Everyone is lamenting the wrong things. Shape up because acceleration is here. And if you aren't grounded or at least 1 foot, you are going to be taken for a ride and not the kind of ride you want. Okay, this is the end of the freebies. I have a list of links, how to subscribe and save money, buy my book, get a reading, um, sign up for a Bitcoin study group or any other study groups. And before I go behind the paywall, I will leave a list of few podcasts that I have been invited to that they just dropped the past weeks, and I have not I'm sharing them right now. The last one is with Access Tribe Bitcoin. The second one is with Life Ability. The third one is with Bitcoin Consciousness. And an older one that I forgot to post with the Bitcoin Boomer. They're all different. In one, I speak about art, the other one about astrology, the other one more, I do kind of a reading to a Bitcoiner. And the most recent one, I go down deep into my book. So I'll leave you the links and take your time. Then there's a chart. It's actually my chart with a new moon. You can see it, you know, there's a new moon starts exactly on my ascendant. So this new moon marks a profound new beginning for me as the final pass of Saturn on my Chiron aligns with this lunation. I feel the culmination of deep healing and the integration of a hard-won wisdom. Adding to this transformative moment, Jupiter will soon turn direct on my fifth house, amplifying these themes of creative expression, joy, and the courage to embody my authentic self. My deepest wounds have become my greatest strength. I speak often about value, time, and the myriad ways we express creativity, whether through art, relationships, or the legacy we leave behind. One truth shines through it all: never trade authenticity for any form of security. This is the lesson I carry forward under the light of this new moon, a beacon of renewal and a call to fully embrace my path. Potentials. This year brings both potential and peril. Bitcoin continues to offer solutions for economic sovereignty, but it is not without risks. The USA's new government is playing with the idea of an SBR, Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. While there is so much pressure on altcoins because, like it or not, Trump hired as the AI and crypto czar a true shitcoiner, but Bitcoin doesn't care. AI is advancing rapidly, raising questions about control, ethics, and implementation. mRNA? Hmm. Yes, whatever. This week's news is both schizophrenic and reassuring that the wheel has turned and the direction is another one. Uranus forward motion signals breakthroughs but also disruptions. Venus retrograde will challenge how we meet our needs from personal desires to systemic monetary structures. I have spoken to many folk, and the feeling is bubbly with emotion, with a willingness to innovate, expand, and create instead of destroy. I don't know, people, how do you see your horizon? I have not been this bullish on an infinite possibilities in a long time. Are you setting intentions for 2025? I've shared some of mine, though I prefer to keep others private until fulfilled. It's crucial to remain aligned with our own rhythms and stay intentional amidst this acceleration. Pedal down, focus, and intentions. As Uranus directs its energy forward, it will enter briefly into Gemini on July 7th, 2025, bracing for rapid shifts. Acknowledge the closures occurring in your life and the collective. What we're leaving behind makes a space for new, even if that space feels chaotic right now. My work in understanding financial charts and Bitcoin has only deepened my respect for open markets and voluntary collaboration, a cornerstone of economic sovereignty. My focus lately has been on how these changes affect our understanding of value and our relationship with technology. In Medellin, a few weeks ago at the Bitcoin conference, I spoke on four panels about value, time preference, nonviolence, and human action. People connected with this message because it cuts through complexity to what matters, how we choose to act, and what we decide to value. With Pluto receiving the Sun in Aquarius for the first time in 246 years, we are facing questions about staying grounded while technology accelerates. There's a lot of happening in Pisces, creating potential confusion, and the airy influences of Aquarius and Jupiter in Gemini are speeding up mental processes. The challenge is maintaining a step by step approach instead of getting lost in abstractions. The new moon in Aquarius opens a window for seeing these technologies clearly. It is not about hype or fear, but understanding their practical use in service to human needs. Here's where Bitcoin's journey becomes clear. From its birth as a number through the understanding subjective value to becoming a medium of exchange and finally emerging as a tool for psychological and generational healing. Bitcoin and AI aren't just parallel developments, they are expressions of this moment's energy. Bitcoin challenges how we think about value and trust, while AI pushes us to question consciousness and automation. Both technologies need to be grounded in human action and real needs, not just abstract potential. As we move through 2025, the challenge is staying grounded while these technologies evolve. It's about finding balance between innovation and practical application, between individual needs and collective transformation. The aspects suggest that we need to pay attention to how we embody these changes, not just think about them. A fork in the road. I've been riding through this Jupiter retrograde in Gemini square Saturn in Pisces for a while now. And it's all building up to a crescendo when both planets shift into the cardinal signs this summer. It's been an ongoing cycle of tension and revelation, and only recently did I realize what my thing during this time has been about: the expansion of knowledge rooted in curiosity. Jupiter, after all, doesn't just expand, it inspires. And for me, that inspiration has taken the form of diving headfirst into the emerging technological boom of artificial intelligence. Particularly large language models, LLMs, finally remember that term. What's fascinating is how much value I found in these tools. They've been supporting me in ways only Saturn could, a slow, deliberate, almost parental kind of support. Saturn isn't here to hand me a trophy. It's here to hold up a mirror and say, do the work, build the structure, expand with care. These tools are helping me to see myself and my work in a bigger, broader light, whether it's by assisting with little tasks or empowering me to tackle bigger ones. And that's the crux of the transit, isn't it? The balance between Jupiterian growth and Saturnian grounding. Saturn makes its final pass over my Chiron during the new moon a significant moment. It's been an invitation over the last few months to sit with feelings of vulnerability, particularly around resources, and not just financial resources, but my talents, my abilities, and how I can channel them into something efficient and meaningful. Saturn is asking, how can you create a structure for this expansion? And with Jupiter about to station direct, I'm feeling the boost, the green light to run with these ideas, to get out there and let the magic happen. I've got Jupiter, the Sun, and Mercury all together in my third house. So for me, it's always about learning, but even more so about living that knowledge and applying it empirically. So I can offer something of value to the world. This is my process. Learn it, live it, share it. Right now, I'm utterly fascinated with tech potential. I wasn't early on Bitcoin, but I'm full on it with it now. And let me tell you, it's never too late for anyone. AI and Bitcoin, in a way, feel like extensions of my fascination with languages. I've been drawn to languages and speak plenty of them. To me, languages, whether they're spoken or encoded in the stars, technology, or systems like astrology and human design, are tools that help us decode and navigate life. These tools serve as bridges, helping me to grasp my evolution more deeply and make the most of my time on this planet. That's what excites me, how these tools can facilitate growth, bring clarity, and support a more expansive understanding of who we are and what we're here to do. As I write this, I can't help but think of how ripe this moment is for humanity to re examine what we consider our resources. It's not just about money, it's about talent, time, tools, and creativity. The acceleration is undeniable, and I've decided I'm not wasting a second resisting it. I'm surfing in it. That's what this period has been for me, aligning with the momentum, staying curious, and building a structure so that when the wave of expansion hits, I'm ready to ride it. Bitcoin, no longer an ideal, but a tool of service. This is what I see coming. Bitcoin is stepping into a new phase where it is no longer just an idealistic experiment, but a practical tool of service. Despite its volatility, Bitcoin, like any other traded good, consistently finds its equilibrium through the forces of supply and demand. Its real value lies in its scarcity, its role as a long term store of value, and its increasing adoption as a medium of exchange. Circular economies and grassroots systems are proving this utility every day, showing how decentralized systems can thrive and serve. Now, let's get into this astrological weather shaping Bitcoin's evolution. The transits for the new moon on January 29th, 2025, and Bitcoin's natal chart reveal the moment of massive transformation. This isn't just a random energetic shakeup. This is Bitcoin stepping into a bigger leagues. With Saturn, Uranus, Jupiter, and Pluto working key angles in Bitcoin's chart, this is the phase where ideals evolve into structure and innovation scales into real world system. Number one, Jupiter 29th Capricorn, the master builder degree. Bitcoin's natal Jupiter 29th degree of Capricorn has always held the promise of greatness. This degree is known as the master builder, symbolizing responsibility, systems, and the ability to influence on large scale. This placement shows that Bitcoin was always designed to be a trusted system, but it required time to grow into its potential. The new moon on January 29th, 2025 activates Bitcoin's north node at 9 degrees of Aquarius, pointing to a critical karmic moment. The return of a transit Mercury to 2 degrees Aquarius, its natal degree, adds to this, reinforcing Bitcoin's original mission to revolutionize the way humanity interacts with value and technology. This is clear sign that Bitcoin's why comes into sharp focus, a disruptor in systems of value and a vehicle for collective progress. I have to add, because I forgot to write it, that Mercury is going to be conjuncting Pluto in that degree, so that's a biggie. Number two, Saturn and Uranus conjunct in the eighth house. Revolution meets structure. The eighth house is all about shared resources, power dynamics, and deep transformation, making it the financial underworld of the chart. With Saturn and Uranus meeting here, Bitcoin is being pulled into a much more serious and integrated role in global finance. Saturn is bringing long term structure and stability, while Uranus is pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Together, they're creating a system that balances innovation with sustainability. Displacement suggests broader acceptance of Bitcoin into the financial ecosystem, whether through institutional adoption, regulatory frameworks, or governments engaging with Bitcoin as a part of their larger monetary systems. It is not about Bitcoin abandoning its roots as a disruptor, but about maturing and proving its worth at scale. Number three, Venus, Neptune, and the North Node in Pisces. Ideals meet utility. The alignment of Venus, Neptune, and the North Node in Pisces, that falls in Bitcoin's ninth house, sextile Bitcoin's natal Jupiter, speaks how Bitcoin's values in freedom, decentralization, and borderless access are finally meeting practical application. The ninth house energy here is global and visionary, emphasizing the role of Bitcoin can play in creating systems that transcend borders and challenge traditional financial hierarchies. This transit shows that the world is beginning to see Bitcoin not just as an investment or speculation tool, but as something that serves real world needs. Circular economies, for example, are proving how Bitcoin can thrive as a practical currency, particularly in systems where centralized solutions have failed. The sextile to natal Jupiter in Capricorn is where ideals start to become action. Bitcoin's original dream of being decentralized store of value and medium of exchange is being recognized, valued, and integrated in ways that serve humanity. Number four, Pluto on natal Jupiter, a complete metamorphosis. Pluto transiting Bitcoin's natal Jupiter in Capricorn is nothing short of transformational. Pluto doesn't work in half measures, it tears down the old to build something entirely new. Natal Jupiter in Capricorn is all about long term vision and the ability to create something of lasting significance. Now that Pluto is on the scene, Bitcoin's role as a financial disruptor is being transformed into something more foundational. This isn't just about speculation or idealism anymore. This transit speaks to Bitcoin's emergence as a critical part of the global financial systems. Whether this comes through adoption by institutions, mass acceptance as a currency, or the implementation of regulatory frameworks, Pluto ensures that Bitcoin is stepping into full power. Number five, Jupiter in the 11th house, expansion through collective vision. With Jupiter transiting Bitcoin's 11th house, the focus shifts to community, networks, and global adoption. The 11th house is the house of the future of technology, innovation, and collective progress. Jupiter here is about expanding Bitcoin's role, not just as a tool for individual financial freedom, but as a part of a larger system of global collaboration. This transit suggests major growth in adoption, whether through partnerships, new technological developments, or creative use cases. It's also a time when the narratives around Bitcoin are becoming more optimistic and future focused. With the 11th house influence, Bitcoin is no longer just a niche movement, it's becoming part of the collective fabric of human progress. Bitcoin's progress sun at 0 degrees Aquarius, a new era. Looking ahead, Bitcoin's progress sun entering 0 Aquarius marks a critical new phase. Aquarius is the sign of technological revolutions, innovation, and collective progress, and the 0 mark is symbolic of fresh starts. This shift represents Bitcoin's entrance into the major leagues. Over the next 30 years, we'll see Bitcoin woven into systems we haven't even imagined yet. What's particularly exciting is how this coincidence with the rise of artificial intelligence, Bitcoin and AI are two of the most revolutionary technologies of our time, but neither can operate without human engagement. Both require human creativity and action to reach their full potential. Together, they represent a new frontier in how we interact with value, technology, and each other. The role of volatility, a necessary feature, not a bug. Volatility gets a bad rap. But here's the thing, volatility is Bitcoin's adaptive mechanism. It's a dynamic response to shifts in supply, demand, and global perception. Unlike fiat currencies, which are manipulated to appear stable through centralized policies, Bitcoin's volatility is a feature of its decentralized nature. In astrology, Uranus, Bitcoin's tech rebel energy, governs shocks and sudden changes. But those disruptions are necessary. They shake the system so it can evolve. This is why Saturn and Uranus in the eighth house are so pivotal right now. Saturn is forcing Bitcoin's wild Uranian energy into a framework that can handle this natural volatility, making it more sustainable and less of a Wild West asset over time. This doesn't mean volatility will disappear. It's baked into Bitcoin's DNA, but the astrology shows that the framework being built now will allow volatility to serve adoption rather than scare people away. Volatility is the spark that forces recalibration. It's what will ultimately help Bitcoin achieve its equilibrium. The new moon as a global call to action. The January 29th new moon activating Bitcoin's north node in Aquarius isn't just a moment for Bitcoins, it's a call to humanity. Aquarius energy is all about collective progress, and this activation suggests that Bitcoin is stepping into the leadership role in how we as species think about money, value, and fairness. The North Node represents destiny at a higher purpose, and its Bitcoin's chart is located on the sixth house area tied to service, work, and practical contributions to society. This is a reminder that Bitcoin's mission is about service, not dominance. It's here to provide alternatives, fill gaps where centralized systems fail, and give people tools to empower themselves financially. For humanity, this is an invitation to think beyond the surface. Bitcoin isn't just an asset of a tech fad, it's part of a larger movement to reclaim control over systems that have been centralized for too long. The new moon is urging people to engage with Bitcoin not as a speculative game, but as a tool with profound implications for freedom and equality. Saturn's lessons, playing the long game. The role of Saturn can't be overstated. This planet demands patience, discipline, and willingness to play the long game. Bitcoin's journey hasn't been easy, and Saturn's influence is a reminder that lasting success requires effort and resilience. For Bitcoin, this means moving past the get rich quick narrative and embracing its potential as a long term store of value and medium of exchange. Saturn's transit also points to increased institutional involvement, governments, banks, and corporations building the infrastructure for Bitcoin adoption. This may feel like a watering down of Bitcoin's rebellious origins, but it's actually part of the evolution. To scale globally, Bitcoin needs to be both accessible and understood, and Saturn is here to make sure those foundations are laid properly. So there's some insights on the natal chart. Natal Saturn in Virgo in the second house governs value, personal resources, and financial security. Natal Uranus in Pisces in the eighth house rules shared resources, transformation, and collective financial systems. Transiting Saturn in Pisces is now in the eighth house, conjunct natal Uranus, and directly opposing natal Saturn in the second house. This creates a double layer Saturn Uranus opposition. The natal one, Saturn in Virgo versus Uranus in Pisces, is being reactivated by transiting Saturn, intensifying the themes of stability versus disruption, value versus transformation, and the push and pull between the old guard, Saturn, and the radical innovation, Uranus. Saturn in the second house opposed Uranus in the eighth house of Bitcoin's natal chart. At the heart of Bitcoin's natal chart, we have Saturn in Virgo second house opposing Uranus in Pisces eighth house. This is a deep karmic signature that defines Bitcoin's entire purpose and evolutionary challenges. It focuses on precision, practicability, and accountability regarding value and resources. It represents Bitcoin's need to establish itself as a trusted store of value, an asset that can weather volatility and hold its ground in the financial system. Saturn here is conservative, insisting on structure, discipline, and proof of value over time. Uranus in Pisces' eighth house, by contrast, is pure disruption. It overhauls traditional power structures and centralized financial systems, introducing borderless, decentralized way of managing wealth and resources. Uranus in Pisces dissolves old paradigms and imagines new systems of interconnected value, less reliant on centralized control. This natal opposition essentially defines Bitcoin as a tool of financial revolution within structured systems. The constant tension is how can Bitcoin stay true to its radical decentralizing purpose while building the trust, stability, and integration needed for mass adoption? Transiting Saturn is pushing Uranus' disruptive energy to get serious. Saturn's influence here says if you're going to disrupt systems of shared wealth and resources, you need a clear, sustainable framework to work to do it. The eighth house about shared power and trust, whether that's banks, governments, or decentralized systems. This is a key moment where Bitcoin role in the global financial ecosystem is being tested. Saturn is asking, can Bitcoin integrate into mainstream systems without compromising its decentralizing ethos? Can it prove its trustworthiness as a shared resource while still challenging traditional power structures? There may be regulatory challenges or increased scrutiny during this transit as Saturn demands accountability for Bitcoin's Uranian rebellion. All this could manifest as market challenges. Bitcoin may face pressure to stabilize its value, especially in the face of increasing adoption or global economic uncertainty. Saturn in the second house demands predictability and resilience. Wider adoption with strings attached. Governments, banks, or institutions may begin embracing Bitcoin but impose stricter frameworks, Saturn influence, to ensure it fits into existing systems. This could feel restrictive but signal Bitcoin's maturation as a global asset. The larger implications of this transit. The activation of Bitcoin's Saturn Uranus opposition suggests a pivotal moment in its evolution. Here's what's at stake: revolution meets responsibility, global systems in flux, and transformative trust. So, Bitcoin must prove it's not just a disruptive force, but a stable, scalable, and useful tool. Saturn transiting the eighth house may shift perceptions of Bitcoin within collective financial system, and Saturn demands Bitcoin earn its place as a reliable asset for individuals and institutions alike by strengthening its reputation and refining its infrastructure, e.g., energy use, scalability. Tying it all back to the 1960s opposition in my chart. My own Saturn Uranus opposition from the 60s resonates deeply with this moment. The same themes of revolution versus stability, innovation versus tradition, and societal transformation are at play. In the 60s, the opposition reflected counterculture movements, civil rights, and technological leaps challenging the old order. I lived through that energy all my life and understand the importance of balancing rebellion with responsibility. Now, I am witnessing Bitcoin face the same challenges. How can it remain a tool of liberation, Uranus, while creating structure, ensuring long term success, Saturn? How can it challenge the status quo while working within or alongside existing systems? This could feel like a full circle moment for me, an echo of the cosmic dance I was born into, now reflected on a global scale through Bitcoin's evolution. The birth of a new financial order. This Saturn Uranus opposition isn't just a test, it's an opportunity. Bitcoin is being asked to grow, to stabilize, and integrate while staying true to its revolutionary roots. The tension between second and eighth house suggests a redefinition of value, trust, and power that has potential to reshape how humanity handles money and resources. The beauty of the Saturn Uranus opposition is that it forces innovation to become sustainable. For Bitcoin, this could mean tighter regulation, deeper adoption by traditional systems, or even shifts in how it's used practically. Despite the challenges, this transit pushes Bitcoin to step into its role as a tool of service. This isn't just about Bitcoins anymore, it's about humanity. It navigates the tension between old systems and new paradigms. The revolution isn't ending, it's evolving. It's just like in the 60s, this tension sparks the birth of a new era. What this means for us as individuals? Bitcoin's evolution is a reflection of our own. As a society, we've been asked to redefine our relationship with money, trust, and systems of power. Bitcoin challenges us to think differently about value. Who creates it? Who controls it? The astrology says this is a moment of co creation. Bitcoin isn't here to solve everything for us, it's a tool. And what we do with it is up to us. Just as Pluto on Bitcoin's Jupiter is transforming its role, we're being invited to transform the way we interact with money, technology, and each other. So, Saturn's role, is it support or constraint? Saturn's energy is all about maturity, accountability, and ensuring what's being built can stand the test of time. It's a planet that doesn't tolerate shortcuts or shaky foundations. For Bitcoin, this means Saturn is forcing us to grow. How does Saturn support adoption? Saturn can actually be a blessing in disguise for Bitcoin's larger adoption. By imposing structure, regulation, and accountability, Saturn ensures that Bitcoin isn't just a fringe experiment or speculative plaything. Instead, it becomes a trusted, reliable tool that fits into the broader financial ecosystem. Think institutional adoption, clearer legal frameworks, and more integration into global commerce. Saturn could give Bitcoin the credibility it needs to be taken seriously by skeptics. But some of us don't think that it needs to be regulated. That being said, for example, governments creating clear rules for Bitcoin use could encourage more institutions and individuals to adopt it. Saturn's push for scalability, energy efficiency, and smoother transaction processes could make Bitcoin more practical for everyday use. It already is, just you have to start using it, people. How Saturn could limit adoption. On the flip side, Saturn rules can sometimes feel suffocating. Overregulation, centralization, or attempts to control Bitcoin could dilute its original purpose as a decentralized, borderless currency. If governments or institutions impose too many limitations, like taxation, bans, or surveillance measures, it could alienate the very communities that made Bitcoin revolutionary in the first place. The danger is that Saturn's desire for control and stability may conflict with Bitcoin's Uranian nature, which thrives on freedom and decentralization. If Saturn's influence becomes too heavy handed, it risks creating friction between Bitcoin's roots and its future. Why Aquarian energy will prevail? Here's why I think the Aquarian energy tied to Bitcoin chart and the broader cosmic cycles will ultimately win out. Aquarius is the sign of the future. It's about innovation, technology, and progress that serves the collective. Bitcoin is fundamentally an Aquarian technology. It's a disruptor designed to empower humanity by decentralizing systems of and creating a deflationary financial landscape. With Bitcoin's North Node in Aquarius, its destiny is tied to pushing humanity forward. Saturn in Pisces and eventually in Aries may test its ability to serve, but the Aquarian energy ensures that Bitcoins won't lose sight of its higher purpose. Even as Saturn lays down rules, the rebellious Aquarian spark within Bitcoin's chart will remain alive. In fact, the rules that Saturn introduces might strengthen Bitcoin in the long run by making it accessible to a broader audience. The truth revealed. Squares are moments of reckoning, and Uranus in Gemini squaring Bitcoin's Saturn Uranus opposition will expose the truth about Bitcoin's role in the future of finance. Will it remain a decentralized revolutionary tool that empowers individuals, or will it evolve into a more regulated, institutionalized asset? Uranus will bring clarity, but not without turbulence. As Uranus squares Bitcoin's natal opposition, broader Aquarian themes will emerge globally. The end of the fiat monopoly. Uranus in Gemini will challenge traditional systems of value, communication, and trade, potentially marking the decline of fiat currencies as Bitcoin assumes a central role in the transition. Well, hopefully, everything that Donald Trump is doing this week is actually see the light, like ending the IRS and probably making an audit to, guess what? The Fed. The Federal Reserve's never been audited, guys. Can you believe that? It's a private bank, and everybody feels that it's just creating money from the government. Bigger than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's astrology isn't just about its role as a currency or asset. It's part of a larger history about humanity stepping into a new age. These transits ahead are reshaping the way we think about value, collaboration, and progress. Bitcoin is no longer an ideal, it's a tool of service. The challenge now is to use this tool wisely, balancing its innovative spirit with the structures needed to make it sustainable. As Bitcoin's progress and enters your Aquarius, its story become intertwined with humanity's story of innovation and collective evolution. Now we choose to engage with Bitcoin and the technologies rising alongside it, like AI, will define not just the future of money, but the future of how we live, create, and thrive together. This is the beginning of a new era. Let's build it. Okay, guys, that was long, 39 minutes. Hope you have a great week. There's so much going on. I have to speak again next week. So many transits. I hope you're enjoying life. Take care.